Hi, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Before we begin today's episode and interview with my dad, I have the most exciting announcement. My store, Luca Divina, which was formerly known as Fortuna's Wheel Apothecary, is now open. I have handmade 7-day candles to represent Mother Mary as we enter into the season of Lent and Easter. I have Malocchio candles to help protect you from the evil eye. And I also have candles representing San Michele, which is Saint Michael for protection. I use all of these candles in my practice, especially around Italian folk magic. I pray to Mary using some of these candles. I have herbal blends, oils, and more. You can find all of these products listed in the description below, where my Etsy store will be tagged. I am so excited to create these handmade products for you guys. I've been working on them for a really long time, and I will see you over in the podcast episode. We're back with my channel and my podcast, and we're here interviewing special guest of the podcast, my dad. Welcome, Dad. Welcome back to the podcast episode.
Hi, Chelsea. Hi, everybody. It's glad to be back.
Are you glad to be back?
I sure am.
I know.
What else do I got to do? I'm retired.
I know. You're like looking at me like I'm holding you hostage for this
Yeah.
podcast. You're like, I'm glad to be back. I'm like, are you? So today we're going to be talking about something different. We usually talk about spirits and psychic mediumship and Italian folk magic, but I thought it was important to talk about Italian American culture because a lot of who we are and our relationship comes from our own culture. It's the way that we grew up, it's our morals, it's, down to the food that we eat. We go to a lot of good Italian restaurants, don't we?
Yes. In the Northeast, there's a lot of good Italian restaurants.
We're very lucky. We're very blessed. Like we're kind of like Italian food snobs. I feel like when we travel outside of, the New Jersey, New York area, we're always like, because I live in South Jersey now and like I feel like the Italian food is not as good as it is in Central Jersey.
You're exactly right, Chelsea.
I know. See, but we're Italian food snobs. Italian
Right.
American food, I should say. And for those of you that are listening, we are coming from the Italian American perspective. We are very different than the actual Italians in Europe. Our culture is based off of the immigrants that traveled here and our ancestors. So a lot of what we do is older Italian traditions that don't 100% exist anymore, but the culture and the vibes are still the same, especially around family and food. We definitely have those similarities. So I want to start, Dad, with you because this all starts with you before I come into the picture. Growing up, what was it like for you? What are your fondest memories of, some things that you did in Italian American culture, or is there any specific way you were raised by your parents?
All right. So I've discussed this before, probably on maybe the last podcast, that my father had left my mother when I was 5 years old.
With how many
And
kids?
at that time was four. There
Yeah.
was three sisters and me. And she met this man who eventually became my stepfather. And obviously we were Italian, but at the time we didn't have uh, much of a culture because my mother was just basically trying to work and take care of us. But when we met my who was my eventually my father, my stepfather. His family, his mother was from Italy, and that's when we started having our tradition, being Italian American, of going to their house every Sunday.
But
And
to
his mother was,
clarify, grandma was Italian. She just didn't obviously have the time because she was too busy taking care of four kids. Wasn't she also on welfare at the time as well? Like there was a lot going on.
yeah. So yeah, she did make some Italian dishes, but obviously when you're a mother of four and you don't have the second parent and you have no income and just basically welfare, uh, you just got to make ends meet and try to feed your family. So it was a big change for us that we I met like I said, my stepfather, and then met his family,
And
which
what did they change for you? Like when you met his
uh,
family, how old were you and kind of how did that what was going on?
I was 5 years old.
Okay, so you were young.
Yeah, I was 5 years old. And it started out we go to their house every Sunday, and his mother would make the big pot of gravy with the spaghetti and the meatballs. And that's how it all started. And we'd celebrate it downstairs in her dining room where we ate, and it was a great experience for us, you know, because and obviously she had to wear the black because her husband was deceased for a long time, but she always wore black.
Right. So for those that don't know, when in Italian culture, when your husband passes away, like my dad just said, you technically wear all black to show that you are signs of a widow and you're in mourning, right?
Yeah, she always wore black every time I went over there, and she spoke very very little English, very little English. And as a matter of fact, it was kind of like a broken Italian that my father spoke to her, but when she passed on, he forgot all of that. So it's pretty amazing.
It is amazing. I know I'm always mad at him that he never taught you because then I could have learned how to speak Italian. But the thing was, I guess in those days, you probably weren't trying to stick out too much as like an immigrant, right? Like you're probably trying to assimilate into the United States and the culture over here because, Italians at one point weren't even considered white.
Yes, that's true, Chelsea.
So I'm sure that's why he probably didn't place a huge emphasis on teaching it to us, which I'm so mad at. I'm like, Grandpa, are you kidding me? Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? My God. So going back to the Sunday dinner. So Sunday dinner in Italian American culture is so important. We eat around, I don't know, what time do we usually like 2 p.m.?
Yeah, for us it was 2 o'clock.
And even when I was growing up, I remember my mom, who I told you guys isn't even Italian, but because she grew up in this specific area of New Jersey and she's married to my dad and experienced his family. She was basically by default adopted into Italian American culture. Like she really grew up in it. Like if you met my mom, you would think she was Italian, right?
Yes, her mannerisms, the way she talks, definitely you would think she's Italian American.
100%. Like people are a little surprised when, we say like, oh, she's not like DNA technically Italian, but you don't have to be. She grew up in the culture. So every Sunday we would sit down at 2 p.m. My grandparents would come over and mom would make sauce spaghetti meatballs and get bread from La Dolce Bakery. Every Sunday we would have that. And it was like my favorite.
Yeah, it was always if you remember, it was the semolina seeded bread.
Oh, it
That's
was
what.
so good. The
Yeah, it was
semolina.
so good. Yeah.
The semolina. But the reason why we do that is because even during the week, it was always placed really important on us growing up that we had to eat with our family. Like there was never really a time where anybody was eating by themselves. I know you had to work sometimes, but we always ate at the dinner table or we had to wait for you to come home. Mom would be like, "You're not eating until dad comes home." And we'd hear you come through the garage door and then we would sit down together as a family and eat dinner. And that is like Italian culture in itself where you're eating with other people. It's not really, we're not doing anything individual.
Yeah, always every Sunday, every Sunday.
Right. What about you growing up? Did you always eat dinner together?
Well, again, like I was going back to when I used to go to my father's mother's house and grandmother, my grandmother, um, that started resonating with my mother because she learned how to cook from them. Even though she was Italian American, a lot of recipes, like for instance, the zucchini flowers.
Oh my God, those are my favorite. It's hard to get them here in the US because they just like, it's like a summer type of flower we get.
I remember back in the day when we used to go over his mother's house, the bags of flowers that they had.
Yeah, you can get them at Italian markets. They're expensive now though.
Yeah, it's a delicacy now. You go in a restaurant, they charge you to forget about it.
Oh, I know.
Like
Anytime,
$15 for an appetizer.
anytime you take me out to dinner with you and mom, I always order. I'm
And
like,
so you
if
want to
you're
know
paying,
sometimes, and
what?
you want to know sometimes, some of the restaurants, it really ain't, it's not that good, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Some of them are really good. Some of them, you always bite on it. Oh yeah, look, they have the zucchini flowers, and then you try it. It's not that good. It's not like when you make it at homemade.
The stuffed zucchini flowers. Okay, what else? What else do you remember having or some
Oh,
Italian
this one,
American
this
food?
one, my grandmother would make this yellow cake, but the way she made it was a little of this and a little of that.
Right.
So she make these giant pans, and some spots would rise, some spots would be flat, and you cut out these and forget about. I don't know how much sugar was in there.
I tried to make it one day and there's a lot of sugar in it. I was like, I can't even believe.
She used to make this cake and used to get these big hunks and squares. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, my father had this thing he called it was a coffee bowl. I think it was called a latte now.
I
From what
think
I
that
remember,
I think that translates into something bad.
yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, he used to have this big bowl and pour the coffee in it, and the coffee, by the way, was on the stove.
Yeah, right, like
It was
Italian
no,
coffee.
it was no Mr. Coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was pert coffee, and put it in a bowl with milk, and then take these pieces, wedges of cake, and just stick it in the coffee
I
and
mean,
eat
it's
it with a
good.
spoon. Well, listen, I didn't do that. Obviously I was small. I wasn't drinking coffee, but I used to love it with the milk.
It's good. I know cousin Joe, which is my dad's cousin, and this is his family. He told me recently that he had the coffee and the cake in the bowl like Grandpa did last time we saw him. He's like, I had to
Yeah,
do it.
every time we go there, and she'd make in a. I don't know. Listen, she never. There was no exact ingredients on it, and later on, my sister would make the cake. Obviously, my mother made it, but in the correct manner, not like
Right.
his mother, because she never measured. She just poured.
Well, that's how the old Italians did, you just kind of
Yeah,
a little bit of this, a little bit of that. All right, now moving on. What would you say is like your favorite part of being Italian American out of all the things that we do?
I think it's the tradition of everybody getting together on holidays.
Me too. I love that. Personally, I didn't realize how lucky I was until I stepped out of the state of New Jersey. I went to college in Maryland. I went to Towson University, by the way, for those of you out there. And I lived in Maryland for 4 years. And I didn't realize that other people did not do these things. And I know that sounds really kind of ridiculous, but I had grown up in Central Jersey my whole life. And I finally like went out into Baltimore, which isn't even far. It was like 3.5 hours away. And I moved away from my community. And people there just didn't see their family. They weren't close with their family. I got made fun of a lot, by the way, because of my accent and the way that I dressed, which I didn't even think was that bad. You know, my roommates used to make fun of me and mom and her accent. But I'm always so thankful that I grew up Italian American because we are so close with our family. Like we do all the celebrations,
Yeah, my sister's the same way, right? We go over there for Easter,
right?
um, Christmas. We have Thanksgiving, and obviously we have the pool in the backyard in the summertime. Family's always invited over.
We are, and I think another thing too, like listen, my family's pretty nuts. We're not gonna lie. Like we have a really crazy, would you say crazy? They're crazy.
Yeah, there's a little couple of roads in the family.
A little crazy, but I will say, no matter how hard people fight or the disagreements or the stupidity that goes on, we are all able to sit down at the end of the day and have Christmas, have Easter. We do the tomato sauce thing together. We go away on vacation together. Like everyone is just, it's kind of like, yeah, families fight, but there are some families that just hold these grudges and don't get over it. And I feel like we don't do that. We're just kind of like, we're moving on.
No, especially yeah, my sisters. I mean, we're not talking to each other every day, but the end result is when the holiday comes, we're together. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing because our parents are gone, grandma and grandpa. And usually when that happens, people just move away from each other. But we're still close.
Oh, absolutely. And I actually got a question today that I was laughing about. Someone was like, "Can you adopt me into your family because I want to make the tomato sauce like you guys?" Which is something recent we started doing.
Yeah, the first year you went and we were invited, and I said nah. And then I seen how nice it was, and then the following year, uh, me and mommy came and we had a great time. And to
It,
tell you the truth, that was in the summertime, so we still have tomato sauce in the jars. Probably lasts until that time, and then we start all over again. It's a lot of fun.
it's so much fun. It's the thing is we're not just doing work, like we're drinking, we're eating. Trust me. Anytime you come to our family gatherings, and me and my brother will always say this, I will always go. I don't care if I'm mad at somebody because of the food. The food is always so good.
And let's give credit where credit due. That's Jody had started that, my niece, and we have it at her house, my sister's house.
Yeah, it's so fun.
And also, what was I going to say? What we do here, um, your mother always, she's always putting out food
Too
above and
much.
beyond. A lot of
Too
times
much
I'm having
food.
fights with her
Too much.
because what she puts out, they'll never finish it.
Oh, wait, I want to tell everyone what happened on Thanksgiving. So I want you guys to listen. Italians are known for food, right? Like when you come to my house, even if like I invited somebody over, I always put out food. That's the way that it is. You will always be fed at an Italian person's house. You'll never leave starving. We don't like, I remember growing up, like my friends, I'd be hanging out with them as like young kids. My mom would always ask them to stay over for dinner. We are not cheap people and we do not let people leave our house hungry. You are allowed to come over and eat dinner. There are some cultures where people are like, you can't stay for dinner, and I've never ever experienced that in my life. It's crazy, you know? We're always
Yeah,
very welcoming to people if they're at our house.
you won't starve here, trust
No,
me.
no, so okay, on Thanksgiving one year, this was my mom. So for appetizers, we had a charcuterie board, we had or an antipasto, stuffed mushrooms, we had dips. My dad makes bread, and we also have a spinach dip with that, and a shrimp platter as like the first starting course. Then we get into all the Thanksgiving stuff. By the time people were done with the appetizers, they could not make it to like the main meal. Like we were all so full from just everything that we had. And my mom was so afraid we weren't gonna have enough food.
Yeah, and the other thing is she made raviolis
Oh yeah.
because some people don't like to eat turkey. But
That's
what
me.
happens? Yeah, so what happens?
But it's my
Oh,
fault because we always make
yeah,
pasta and sauce at Thanksgiving because
yeah,
like I don't know. I just won't eat I don't like turkey.
yeah. So what happens? Oh, let me have something. Let me have something. And the next thing you know, everybody's eating the raviolis.
Listen, you will never starve at my house. My favorite thing that I think that we do over the summertime is we order subs and we get the chicken cutlet, the fried chicken cutlet with the roasted red pepper and the fresh mozzarella on Italian bread.
Yeah, usually we get that, and then I always request the Italian sub because I like both. They both go.
Listen, we when you come to my house, it is all about the food. When you go to my aunt's house, like for Easter, I have been dreaming about Jody's pizza rustica that she's making. It's
Yeah,
like
she
a
does a
meat
nice
layered
job.
pie with cheese, and it's all Italian cheese and meat, and it's in like this homemade crust. I will post it on Instagram for you guys. I'm going to take you throughout my day when I go to Easter. I did that one time. Everyone was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, is this invite me over?" So we always it's always about our family and it's always about our food. Like,
Yeah,
sorry.
Jody does a nice job with that.
And like no one will ever shame you for eating at my in my family parties or at like my mom's house. Like you can eat whatever you want. No one judges you. I don't judge people if they have like 7 plates. You know, you should eat everything.
The only problem we're having now is as the family gets older, you start to eat less.
Well, and also let's just say Italian American food is fattening. It is not the Italian food you're finding out in
Yeah.
Italy. It is, oh my God, Dad, we have to tell them that we went to Olive Garden.
Oh, that was
Okay.
a that was a bust.
Okay, so I came home for the weekend, which by the way, remind me, I have to get tomato sauce from your house this weekend because I'm coming to visit. So, and we're going to a nice Italian restaurant, but I need the sauce. I need the jars of the homemade sauce. I ran out.
We have it downstairs.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I
All
came
right.
home to visit because I was coming back to visit my cousin who just had a baby, and my parents were going with me. And we were hungry that weekend. So I was just joking around because we were passing Olive Garden, like, oh, we should go to Olive Garden. And my mom and dad, like, they're retired, so they're like down to try anything at this point. And my parents like, oh, we should go because my other Italian grandfather used to love Olive Garden. He was literally from Southern Italy. I don't know why he loved Olive Garden so much, but it was like one of these things that was just nostalgic for my parents. So we hadn't been like how long? Like 10 years, 15 years?
It might be that long for me.
It was a long time.
And it's all and listen, it's only up the road.
Yeah, so we were like, let's go. So it's crowded. We're in like eating a late lunch, early dinner.
Yeah.
We get in there. I'm looking at the signs. Everything is Alfredo sauce. Now I'm going to tell you
Yeah,
guys
what's up
something.
with that?
Okay, so Italian Americans invented Alfredo, but the thing is, people that are actually Italian American don't eat Alfredo sauce. I do not. When I go to a restaurant, it's not something I order. It's too heavy and like, I can't stand it.
And how about when they serve the dish, they're looking to put Parmesan cheese on top of it, grated cheese.
Yeah, which we do put grated cheese on top of everything, but they just like it's everything. It's like the salad, it's the bread, it's the soup, it's like cheese
Yeah.
on everything. And we're like, whoa. So we go. It was a really bad experience. The everything is Alfredo cream sauce, which is it's not even close to what Italian American food is.
No.
I don't know what we were expecting.
Well, it's been a long time. You know what it is? I haven't been able to bread. Let's face it. You were talking about the breadsticks, which was a big bomb.
Yeah, oh my God, they definitely changed their breadsticks.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. And the salad was good.
Yeah, I took some of it home because I got unlimited salad and breadsticks. I
Yeah,
actually would not order an entree because I was so like, and this is no shade, no hate to people that love Olive Garden. It's just that's not real Italian American food. And it's like, it was so bad.
yeah, I got bit on that.
It
What
was
I get a
bad.
stuffed, and whoever heard of this, a stuffed chicken marsala.
Gross. It
So I
wasn't
ordered that. When I got it, it looked like it came out of the microwave.
probably. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then I was reading the money guts thing and they were like 3 meat money guts. I'm like, you don't put meat in money guts. Money guts is a crepe stuffed with cheese. It's supposed to be light and airy and like we make it around Christmas time. What is this? I was so scared.
well, I guess they make it up as they go along, and if they see if people like it, they keep it on the
Oh,
menu, I
listen,
guess.
people love it. That's why I'm like, no shade, no hate to anyone that loves Olive
Yeah,
Garden. I just couldn't do it. Like, it was just bad.
no.
It's like going to Chili's for Mexican food, you know? But I do love a good Chili's every once in a while.
Hey, listen, if that's what you like, more power to you.
Absolutely.
No.
Okay. Let's get out of the food subject because we could talk about food forever because there's so many things. But before we do that, what is your favorite? Someone asked us on Instagram, what is your favorite Italian American food?
It's got to be eggplant parmesan. That
Is
was
it? I
always
did
my
not.
favorite.
I thought you were gonna say like veal parmesan because I you never really order eggplant when we're out.
Well, you know what? Back in the day, my mother made that,
I just made it last week. It was delicious.
and she used to make trays of it. and I loved it. I used to put it on an Italian roll, make an eggplant
Oh, it's
parm
so
sandwich.
good.
Listen, and then the best is the next day when it's cold. You take it out and you eat it cold.
Oh, it's the best when it's cold. No, honestly, guys, if you've never had eggplant parm, you should try it. It's so easy to make. It's not very expensive and you can make a lot of it. You get a big eggplant. I had like food for a few days.
I the only problem with the eggplant is it has a lot of water in it and you have to salt it.
Yes, make sure you find an Italian grandmother recipe. They'll help you, like
Yeah,
get it from an authentic. Well, what's that lady on YouTube that you watch? Gina, right?
Gina, yes, she's
Okay,
very good.
Gina, she's an Italian grandmother. She's from Italy. She teaches Italian recipes. Highly recommend. We've tried a lot of things from her, especially like cookies and things like that.
Well, listen, the ricotta cookies were a bomb. They were great,
Yeah, they're awesome. She
right? I
makes
made them
good stuff.
again this year, and you said you enjoyed them. I gave them to our neighbors, and they liked them.
Oh, they're so good. Yeah, we're big foodies, like big time. I would say for me, my favorite Italian American food is chicken cutlets, fried chicken cutlets. I'm making those after this podcast episode. That's the best with the bread on it and you fry it in the oil.
Well, you get the chicken parm. Obviously, that's not an Italian thing. That's an Italian American thing.
Yeah, well, they don't, chicken's really our thing.
Chickens in Italy are for the eggs, right? For their
Yes.
pasta. So they don't really, there's not a lot of big chicken dishes in Italy.
No, they're a lot healthier than we are.
Yeah, to say the least.
Like they really are. And also too, I heard, because I watched some content of like actual Italians coming over to New Jersey and New York and going to the restaurants, and they say we cook with a lot of garlic. Like we're heavy-handed with our garlic.
And that's true. And like even when the Italians make sauce, they'll put the clove in, and then when it's cooking, they'll take the clove out.
Yeah,
So they don't chop it up. And a lot of times, the middle of it, I think they call it the germ, they cut that out.
I started doing that.
Right, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know you're talking about. Yeah, because I mean, I try to keep up with some of the traditions of making sauce, and I mean, I do. I won't buy jarred sauce. I'll make my own. But yeah, anyway, so food is really a big part of it, and gathering together. And like I was saying at the beginning of this, I feel like I'm really lucky because I grew up in that, and it's something that I want to continue on because, we love it. We love to host, we love to cook for people. And I have to say, I think I'm a pretty good cook because of it. I'll never forget Grandpa. This is my grandfather, my dad's dad. This is what he said to me. I was going to school. I was in college at the time and I came home and this was like before he got really sick. And we were sitting in grandma's backyard and he said to me, he goes, "What are you going to school for?" He's like, "You need to learn how to cook like your mother."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Grandpa, I'm going to college to get educated." He goes, "You need to learn how to cook." And at the time, I wasn't cooking because I was in school. So he was like insinuating I shouldn't be in school and I should be cooking. And I'm like, you know what? Are you going to pay my bills?
Yeah, you know what he was probably trying to do?
What?
He was trying to get you to cook for him.
I know. Well, okay. So tell us a little bit about Jake, your dad. So how was he growing up? Like what sort of things did he do? How did he embody some Italian American traditions? Did grandma have anything to do with that?
Well, I mean, my mother, from him, she learned how to cook from his mother.
Yeah, you said that. And
Yeah.
they owned a deli, correct?
Yeah, and I worked in it for 10 years.
Yeah, so they you owned a really successful deli in Bayonne, New Jersey. It was called Grace's Luncheonette. Maybe someone out here might know what we're talking about.
Yeah, my mother had it for a long time.
Yeah.
I actually started out when I was 17 years old. I graduated high school. I was working in a warehouse and I got laid off. And that's how I got into that store. They opened up a store in the middle of the street, in between the street, and it was a small building where we started our business. And from there, we had bought the property on the corner, and it got really big.
Oh yeah,
So,
because they were cooking good stuff in there.
well, yeah, because of my mother, she was a great cook. You know, she would always make her specials, which would be eggplant parmesan. That's how it got ported. I mean, that was a big hit sell out all the time. Fresh ham, meatballs. She would make her own meatballs. Uh,
Delicious.
a meatloaf, which she had her own recipe, was very good. So yeah, and it was like a 7 day a week thing.
I know. And then she would on Sundays cook for your family, right? Everyone would. She'd make sauce, meatballs, all
My
that.
father had to have sauce every Sunday.
I know. I love him, but he kind of was a pain in the ass
Oh, he was a real
sometimes.
pain in the ass.
He's such a pain in the ass. Like this lady's working all week, but that's Italian American culture. The
And
women do serve their husbands in that sense.
and before we had the store, she would take the we get Italian rolls from the bakery. All right, Italian bakery. I think back in the day it was called the Flippos. They made a real good Italian roll. So my mother would fry the meatballs before she put them in the sauce. And so what did you do in the morning? You
Ate
made a
them.
fried meatball sandwich.
When mom used to cook meatballs on Sunday, or when she does, she used to yell at me because me and Brandon would take them out of the sauce and we would be eating them like on a napkin, like trying not
Yeah,
to.
listen,
She's
I
like,
did
get
the
away
same
from
thing
that.
too. I used to get yelled at. I'd sneak over and grab a couple. He goes,
Yeah,
what are you doing? I says, I want to make sure it's good.
we're just taste
Lying.
testing. I love that so much. Like when she cooks a pot of sauce, I'm always in there, like seeing what I can eat. Like what's in here. Um, okay, I want to talk about um stuffed artichokes.
Yeah, I tried it. My mother was great at that, stuffed artichokes. She always made them.
So, I didn't realize that was like a big Italian American thing. But like obviously, like when I started talking to other people and seeing what other people did on Thanksgiving or big holidays, I realized there was no artichoke. And I'm like, oh, like, I guess I was kind of like naive when I was younger. So we do stuffed artichokes or sometimes. It's really hard, but it's like my favorite thing that grandma used to make was the stuffed artichoke.
Yeah, she did a nice job with everything, but those really came out good.
Those are,
I always look forward to them.
they're amazing. I'm gonna try to make it this year.
You know what the problem is? We haven't been getting good artichokes lately.
I know the produce, that stinks.
Artichokes are really from Italy, right?
Yeah,
The good
I think.
artichokes.
Well,
Yeah,
they
I
have
think they're even smaller, but they're more tender. But the stuff we've been getting here is horrible.
the produce in the US is not the best. Like unless you grow your own, it's different. It's different. But okay, let's take a few questions. I got a few questions on my Instagram. A lot of people are very interested in Italian American culture, and I teach a lot about Italian American folk magic, and I think they really go hand in hand. It's very important to understand these things because it's not just about spirituality, it's also about the way that you move in the world, how you were raised, how you grow up, your morals. Like I said, I feel like Italian Americans, and correct me if I'm wrong, we are very kind people. Like we would give you the shirt off our back. We're very generous. Would you agree with this?
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're very welcoming to other people. And I feel like you find that in some cultures, but not everywhere. I feel like people just don't care as much. And I feel like we treat people like family. My friends used to love coming over my house while my mom cooked dinner, and they felt like they were like part of our family. I always got that from them.
Yeah, even like I said, you would come over to our house, and if you were somebody from the outside, and there'd always be something there that we would make to feed you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, one other question I got is what is your favorite tradition on Christmas? Either like Italian American, either growing up or something that we do now. That's a big holiday for us.
Well, Christmas time. Well, I mean, back in the day when I was a churchgoer, we used to, yeah, we used to go to the. Now, when my mother was alive, and your mother and I were younger, we'd always go to midnight mass, and we come back to my mother's house, and she always had something cooking, you know,
Yeah.
and then we'd open our gifts, believe it or not.
on Christmas Eve. I know a lot of Italians celebrate Christmas Eve, but we didn't do that growing up. We always celebrated Christmas Day.
Well, usually, obviously, use with children, so you believed in Santa Claus. So the present, I mean, all your presents would be for the following, Christmas Day. You'd get up and it'd be a big surprise for you, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we never did that. But when, like I said, when I was younger, and the same thing with my sisters, they would come over to my mother's house, and then we'd hang out and have food, go to church, and then come back and open up our presents.
I got one more. Well, my favorite, I'll give you my favorite tradition, the pinoli cookies. That we started doing again. We started making pinoles and ricotta cookies. The cookie making that we've been doing, because they're like Italian specialties that you only have on certain things. And I have to say, announcement, St. Joseph's pastries are happening this week because it's St. Joseph's Day.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Oh my
But
God. If you guys have never had a St. Joseph pastry, see if it's in your area. It's a choux
yeah,
pastry that's filled with either two different types of creams. I think one's regatta and then there's another type. Mom is getting them for me this weekend from La Dolce.
yeah, they do make them good.
I know. I'm gonna see if there's a place around here. You most likely have to go to an Italian bakery. So if you never had a St. Joseph's pastry, highly recommend you try it. It is the best. It is the best.
Yeah, it's not something we keep around here anymore because it's unhealthy.
I know, but
But
it's like a delicacy that we have in the
yeah, no,
States.
you absolutely.
And like I thought it was, like I said, I thought these things were normal that people knew about. So you guys know who Dr. K is over on Sticks and Bones. So about 2 years ago, I was like, oh, like I'm gonna pick up St. Joseph's pastries and bring them to the store. And she was like, what is that? And I'm like, you've never had a St. Joseph's pastry? She was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, so I think we were at Easter that year at my aunt's house, your sister's house, and there was an extra St. Joseph's pastry. So I took it for 10 and I brought it. And she was like, this is the best thing I've ever had. I've never had a St. Joseph's
Really, she really
pastry.
enjoyed it, huh?
Yeah, because we kind of take these things for granted, like Italian
Yeah,
pastries are so good.
yeah, I know.
She said, you have to save me one this year. I'm like, we'll see if there's any left. We'll see if there's any left.
I know. Like the cannoli that we have. In reality, in Italy, it's made from sheep's milk.
Right. Ours is
That
different.
those are the best.
I know. I know. We have
We
to make a trip to Sicily where the cannoli was invented.
Yeah. Well, we will one day.
Someone actually asked us if we've ever been to Italy before, and the answer is yes, we have.
Yeah, I've been there twice.
Oh, excuse you.
Yeah.
We did we did a cruise, the Mediterranean cruise, and we did Rome, Florence, Pisa, the Amalfi Coast. And then we were also in Spain and we were also in France as well.
Yes, we were.
That was one of my favorite trips we ever took.
It was nice. I mean, doing a cruise, yeah, you don't have much time, and obviously, from specific ports, it takes some time to get to those cities. So it's not like you're at the city, you know?
No, but it's good if you want to just try like
Yes,
certain cities. Like,
yes.
okay, Pisa we went to, and I'll be honest, I wasn't impressed. Like, I didn't like
Oh, the
love
Leaning
Pisa.
Tower of Pisa.
Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting more from that, but I could have stayed an extra day in Florence. I really enjoyed Florence.
Florence was nice.
We didn't have enough time there, but we were in Rome for quite some time. Like we came in early to Italy and we stayed in Rome, and then when we came back, we also stayed in Rome. So we did a lot. We did the whole Vatican. We saw the Sistine Chapel, all of that stuff. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, it's nice. Nice to go.
Oh
If you
yeah,
haven't been there, I would recommend it.
I
It's a
know.
lot of walking. Don't go in the summertime though.
No, it's so hot.
It's very hot.
Yeah, it's also a lot of graffiti in Rome. Like I wasn't expecting
Well,
it.
I think that was not in the ancient city, right? But it was outside of it.
Oh
And
yeah, it
I
wasn't
wonder
like
why.
in
It
the
was
on
on
the
people's
ruins.
houses.
They have a lot of graffiti there. It was actually pretty surprising. But when we
And
went there, go ahead.
the other thing I'm very surprised at is the cigarette smoking.
Well, that's Europe in general.
This and the cigarette butts on the ground. I mean, they are definitely. more fit than we are, but the cigarettes, I'm very surprised. But I guess that's maybe they're a few years behind us.
Can I ask you how is that so surprising? Because like I went to Paris and Amsterdam, that's all people were doing were smoking cigarettes. So like I
Yeah.
think it's just I don't want to generalize Europe in general because I know there's a ton of countries in the EU, but I think it's more of a European thing where people are smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, it could be.
That didn't surprise me that people were smoking.
But then again, those cigarettes are produced, even though they have American brands, they're produced in Europe. So I don't know what, because you don't know what's in that they put in chemicals they put in cigarettes in the United States
Yeah, well, yeah,
as opposed to Europe.
it's true.
So
It's true. But I would recommend because a lot of people like it's interesting when I'm online and I'm talking about, something that's Italian American, like Italians from actual Europe will be like, "Oh, you don't know anything, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Have you even been to Italy?" And I'm like, "I have. I literally have been to Italy. What do I not know?" My culture is entirely different from yours. That's why I always say Italian American because it's not Italian culture. Obviously, I don't live in Italy, but this is culture that came over here from the immigrants that they created to have their own communities.
listen, it's just like Chinese food in
Yeah.
America. It's not authentic Chinese food for the most part. It was Chinese immigrants that came over to the United States and tried to appeal to the American taste buds,
Yeah, of course.
different food.
And it
And
slaps.
and
It's
it's
good.
called Chinese American,
Well, you
right?
could say that for anything. There's Mexican American, there's a
Right,
ton of,
right.
but they always try to say that to me. And I'm like, I'm not trying to claim I'm from Italy. I'm not. I don't speak
No,
Italian.
we don't claim, but our ancestors were.
Yeah, and I feel like
Can't deny that, right?
no, there were immigrants that came over here and worked really hard to make a living, weren't considered white even, were prejudiced against when they came here. So like I still honor them and their legacy because
Right.
they just got on a boat and came over to the US, you know? And we got some pretty good food out of it, honestly. But yeah, it is very interesting how that conversation comes up. And people that are Italian American are very proud to be. You will find that when you meet people that are Italian, you could see it, some people take it like to the extreme, but people are proud of their culture and where they came from, where their ancestors are from.
Listen, we've been to Italy. I've had pizza. Obviously, I didn't. What was the capital? Is it Naples? The pizza capital, Naples?
I think so.
Now, I have pizza near the Amalfi Coast. Obviously, that's not a pizza capital. And I had pizza up north. It was good, but I'm going to tell you what. In America, there's so many different types of pizza, styles of pizza, and some of them are really, really good. You
Oh,
know,
we have some of the best pizza in New Jersey. I'm not going to say we have the best pizza, period, but because of where Italian Americans immigrated from, they landed in New Jersey. And so we have some of the best Italian restaurants. We have some of the best pizza, the best Italian bakeries, So a lot of people, like, they say these things to us, like, we don't have it. And it's like, we do. And there's an argument actually that pizza originated in the United States, but I don't know where people land on that. That might make people mad.
you know what? It doesn't matter.
It
So,
doesn't.
people be the judge of what they like and what they don't like. I mean, not taking anything away from Italy. It's a great country with a lot of great food.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I want to go back.
You know, there's a lot of great food in America. There's a lot of fast food. We'll grant you that. But where we live, the food is very good.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, we're going to an amazing Italian restaurant this weekend that I'm like, I can't
Right.
wait to go because it's so good. It's like my favorite. It's my favorite. So anyway, yeah, I know we talked a lot about food, but like this is the center of our culture is our food, getting together, where I try to see you guys as often as I can, come home for the weekends, get dinner, just anything to kind of like, hang out.
And let's be honest, you can go on YouTube or the Google and type in a recipe, and there's somebody there that has a recipe.
It's true.
So all you just need is the ingredients.
Yeah.
And if you have common sense, you can make that food. It's not hard. Nothing's a secret anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, how do you think we learned to make some of these like Italian traditional foods that we're kind of lost because it wasn't passed down to us, you know? Like it's like your grandmother used to make something and you forgot how to make it or you didn't have the recipe, so someone else's Italian grandmother online has it, you know? It might be a little bit different, but
Yeah. Like we were saying, that woman Gina, she's like 85 years old. She was from Italy. She came to America, and a lot of her dishes were dishes from Italy, but a lot of other ones, they're Italian American dishes.
yeah.
And we're getting that knowledge from her because she's on YouTube, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, one of my we're gonna end this really soon, but one of my favorite things that I've been doing lately is learning how to cook Spanish food. You gave me a really good recommendation, Spain on a fork,
Very
because I
good.
love rice and chickpeas and, you know, I'm making like that's food that's native to Spain. Like I've been doing that all week. Like I feel like I'm Spanish, but I know
Yeah,
how to
and,
make a
and it's
killer
very easy
rice.
to make. It's not hard to make.
No, it's not hard to make. But you were telling me about that. You were like you would like this because I like to eat a lot of vegetarian. You know, I am making
Right.
fried chicken cutlets today because I want that. But I do like to eat a lot of chickpeas and beans, etc. So Spain on a fork has been great for that. But okay, is there anything else you want to add to our Italian American episode that we didn't get to?
Yeah, a nice Italian piece of Italian bread. Because I'm getting hungry here.
I know. We talked about
with
food the
some
whole
with
episode.
meatballs and spaghetti right now.
I know.
But unfortunately, we're not having it.
Well, you know, we're trying to be good, you know. Like I said, a lot of our food is fattening. It is like we eat it during special occasions. But I listen, I still eat pasta and sauce all the time. You're never gonna take that from me.
Yeah.
I understand you, but it ain't me. Moderation is key. Well, Dad, I want to thank you for coming on today's episode. It was really fun. I love reminiscing about some of our favorites in Italian American culture. And people love, like I said, they love you on my podcast. So, it's a big part of who I am. So I wanted to share it with everybody. It's a big part of who you are.
Yes. Well, thank you in any way that I can help you and talk about things. I'm always here.
We're always here. Well, yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I teach people a lot about connecting to their ancestors. And so, like I said, one of the big things is connecting to a culture or a tradition that you have. And I feel like we do that really well. Like, we just named 5,000 different things that we do that our ancestors used to do, whether it be, meeting together with our family or doing a recipe that someone used to cook, like the pinole cookies, the money guts, which you make now, which I'm actually kind of dying for.
We can always whip them up. They're easy to
We
make.
can always whip them up. We
Yeah,
could.
just give me a container of ricotta. I got all the other ingredients.
I know.
It's
I know,
not
I
hard to
know.
make.
It is not hard to make, but
Really.
for those of you that were asking some questions about, Italian American culture and what goes on over here, this is who we are. We're proud to be Italian American and we're proud of our food and our traditions. And I'm excited that I was able to share it with you guys today. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to leave me a podcast review. It helps my podcast so I can continue to educate and be here and to chat with you guys. I hope you have an amazing day. And don't forget to get a St. Joseph's pastry. This podcast will be dropping the day before St. Joseph's Day. Go try one. Support local Italian bakeries. Bye.
Bye, Chelsea. Bye bye.